Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Veteran wrestling journalist Bill Apter recently shared his thoughts on Jade Cargill's return. The Storm showed up to WWE Elimination Chamber during a surprise return. Jade Cargill was rendered out of action for months after a brutal attack on the November 22 edition of SmackDown. For a long time, Bianca Belair was on the hunt for the mystery assailant, and she was convinced that Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez were behind the attack. However, Jade returned and attacked Naomi, hinting that there was a more sinister plan in play to put her out of action. On a recent episode of The Wrestling Time Machine with Mac Davis, Apter questioned the need for entrance music during the surprise returns. He felt the music spoiled the impact of the return. The veteran journalist also pointed out that Jade should have been in normal attire to make the storyline more compelling. Bill noted that Jade Cargill and Naomi would have a stellar feud going all the way up to WrestleMania, allowing Bianca to focus on her quest for the Women's World Championship. After the events of Elimination Chamber, it will be interesting to see if Jade Cargill shows up to WWE SmackDown this week. Jade Cargill's return to AEW at a recent event made waves across the wrestling world. As one of the most dominant forces in AEW before her brief hiatus, her comeback generated huge expectations among fans and critics alike. However, while many praised her powerful presence and remarkable physique, a veteran from the wrestling industry has pointed out some minor flaws in her return, specifically highlighting the segment where she delivered a brutal beatdown on her opponent. According to this seasoned veteran, the segment seemed somewhat off, even making the attack appear more like a shoot than a scripted wrestling angle. In this exclusive interview, we dive into the wrestling veteran's observations, offering insight into why the return of Jade Cargill may have missed the mark in some ways, despite being largely successful in rekindling the buzz surrounding her. The phenomenon of Jade Cargill's return. Before we delve into the critique, let's first examine the hype surrounding Jade Cargill's return to AEW. Cargill, with her imposing physique, exceptional athleticism, and undeniable charisma, had become one of AEW's top stars. Her undefeated streak and dominant performances quickly garnered her attention from fans and pundits alike, positioning her as one of the most formidable athletes on the roster. After a brief hiatus to handle personal matters, the AEW universe awaited her return with bated breath, and she did not disappoint when she made her surprise appearance at a recent episode of AEW Dynamite. Cargill's return was nothing short of electrifying, as she stormed the ring with her signature confidence and composure. She immediately engaged in a physical confrontation with her rival, a rising star in AEW's women's division, in a moment that saw her reclaim the spotlight with a vicious beatdown. The crowd went wild as they watched Cargill dismantle her opponent with precision and power, confirming that she was back and more dominant than ever. While the segment was successful in re-establishing Cargill's credibility as a dominant force in AEW, the veteran we spoke to, who wished to remain anonymous, expressed some reservations. The critique, while minor, may have implications for how Cargill's return could have been executed differently. The beatdown seemed like a shoot. The veteran in question, a former wrestler who has spent decades in the business and worked with some of the biggest names in the industry, made it clear that while Jade Cargill's return was a positive moment for AEW, the execution of the beatdown felt off in some aspects. The veteran described the segment as looking more like a shoot than a scripted choreographed wrestling angle, implying that it gave the impression of a real fight rather than a staged one. From the moment she hit the ring, the aggression was there. But it almost looked too real, like the intensity crossed the line into something unplanned, the veteran said. There was a lot of force behind the strikes, and the way the opponent was being thrown around didn't look like the usual wrestling cell. It looked more like a real fight than a prearranged fight. In wrestling, the goal is to make everything look like a real fight, but you also want to create the illusion that it's controlled. This moment almost had that danger of looking like a shoot, where things might have gotten out of hand. The veteran's comment about the beatdown resembling a shoot is noteworthy for a few reasons. A shoot in wrestling parlance refers to a real, unscripted fight, usually when something goes awry in a match or when emotions run too high. While it's not uncommon for wrestlers to push each other in terms of intensity, making sure the action stays within the scripted limits is a vital aspect of professional wrestling. When things cross over into the realm of a shoot, it can often lead to a loss of control, making the match feel unsafe for the participants and undermining the suspension of disbelief for the audience. The importance of controlled aggression. One of the key elements that the veteran pointed out was the need for controlled aggression in a wrestling angle. Aggression is an essential part of professional wrestling, especially when a wrestler like Jade Cargill is positioned as a powerhouse. Her persona is built around being an unstoppable force, and moments like a beatdown are crucial in reinforcing that character. However, the veteran believes that while Cargill's aggression was spot on, it was perhaps taken a bit too far in terms of execution. In wrestling, you're supposed to make it look real, but you also need to remember that it's scripted, the veteran said. When the aggression becomes too overwhelming, it loses the essence of the performance. You want it to look real, but at the same time, you want the audience to understand that it's controlled. If the aggression comes off too raw, like it did here, it can break the illusion and make the segment feel more chaotic than it should be. This is an interesting observation, especially considering how much emphasis AEW places on the physicality and realism of their product. AEW has garnered a reputation for blending hard-hitting, intense action with traditional wrestling storytelling, which is a big part of what makes their product appealing to fans. However, the veteran argues that there's a fine line between selling a beatdown and making it feel like an unplanned confrontation. Minor details, the sell and timing. Beyond the intensity of the attack itself, the veteran also pointed to some subtler details that might have contributed to the overall feeling that something was amiss. In particular, the veteran criticized the way Cargill's opponent sold the beating. While the victim of the beatdown appeared to be doing everything right by selling the pain and attempting to retaliate, the veteran noted that the timing and fluidity of the attack could have been smoother. There were some moments in that beatdown where it felt like the timing was slightly off, the veteran explained. Jade is an incredibly talented performer, and so is her opponent, but there were instances where it looked like they were waiting for the next spot, rather than flowing naturally into it. In wrestling, timing is everything. If the timing is even a little bit off, it can disrupt the whole rhythm of the segment. It's especially important during a beatdown like this, where you want the audience to feel every punch, every throw. If it seems like someone is hesitating or waiting for the next move to land, it breaks that intensity. For the veteran, it was a minor flaw, but one that could have been polished with more rehearsal or attention to detail. The match's pacing and fluidity are vital to making the action feel natural, and when the timing feels off, it's easy for fans to pick up on it. Cargill's potential moving forward. Despite these minor critiques, the wrestling veteran was quick to emphasize that Jade Cargill is still one of the most talented athletes in AEW, and that her return should be celebrated. Her star power, charisma, and ability to connect with the audience are undeniable. And this beatdown segment, while not perfect, did succeed in re-establishing her as a dominant force in the division. However, as the veteran pointed out, Cargill's future success in AEW will depend on her ability to refine the subtleties of her performance and continue to evolve as a performer. While her physical presence and power are beyond reproach, mastering the more nuanced aspects of wrestling, such as timing, pacing, and controlling aggression, will ensure that she remains at the top of the women's division for years to come. It's all about making sure the audience buys into what you're doing, the veteran concluded. Jade is more than capable of doing that. She just needs to polish up a few things, and when she does, she'll be unstoppable. Final thoughts. Jade Cargill's return to AEW has undoubtedly reignited interest in the women's division and established her as a major player in AEW's future. Her presence alone commands attention, and her natural athleticism makes her a formidable force in the ring. While some minor flaws in her recent beatdown segment may have caused concern among some critics, it's clear that these are just growing pains as she continues to refine her craft. The veteran's critique, while insightful, should not overshadow the impact of Cargill's return. The reality is that professional wrestling is a constant work in progress, and even the most seasoned veterans face challenges when it comes to refining their craft. For Jade Cargill, the future remains bright, and with a little more fine-tuning, she will undoubtedly continue to be one of AEW's most dominant and captivating stars. As Jade Cargill continues to evolve and grow in AEW, it will be fascinating to watch how she incorporates feedback and refines her approach. If she can perfect the aspects that the veteran highlighted, there's no doubt she'll continue to captivate audiences, and perhaps one day be considered one of the all-time greats in AEW history. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our WWE official YouTube channel for more update news.